In October of 2022, two $1 star notes sold on eBay for over $25,000. Now the first star note had an amazing grade of 67, but the second one had a low grade of only 30. So why did they sell for $25,000? Well, these two bills were part of a very low print run series in 2013. And by printing error at the time, between Fort Worth, Texas and Washington, D.C., bills were accidentally released to the public that had duplicate serial numbers, therefore resulting in two bills with the exact same serial number being sold for $25,000. But let's be honest, you and I are probably never going to find a bill worth $25,000. And that's okay, because you don't have to find bills worth thousands of dollars just to make money from star note hunting. Because even star notes worth $2 to $3 really add up. In fact, did you know it's technically possible to survive off of star note hunting? But I'll talk about that later. First, I want to show you how much your bill could be worth. Now, if it has a fancy serial number, it could be worth anywhere from $10 to $50. But if it doesn't, here's a great place to start. Look up Star Note Lookup and go to mycurrencycollection.com. Select the date of your bill, as well as typing in the serial number, making sure that you use an asterisk for the star. Washington, D.C., and yeah, my bill is less rare. But something else to look out for is the run size of your bill. If your run size is 3,200,000 like mine, well, it's not really that rare. But if you have a run size of 640,000 or lower, that is considered rare. Now this star note is from 1963, but that's not the only reason it sold for $10,925. If you look at the serial number, every number in the serial number, all 8 numbers, is a 2, so it's a solid serial number. This star note from 1988, however, doesn't have a fancy serial number. Instead, you have to look at the back of the bill. See that? Of course you don't. That's because there should be a small number here called a back plate number. And because the back plate number is above the E instead of underneath the E, it's called a web note. And because it's a web note as well as a star note, well, that's why it sold for $480. Now this star note is also from 1988, but it is not a web note. So why did it sell for $24,000? Well, if you look over here, you see a star. But if you look over here, you see an L. And an L is not a star. That is a crazy error that sold for $24,000. Now right here is another crazy star note. And at first, you might not see why this bill sold for $3,840. But now that I'm pointing it out, this bill has two very different serial numbers. And they should be the same. That's why it sold for $3,840. Now this is a strap of 100 $1 bills that anyone, including you, can get from the bank. And I'm sure you already noticed what the error is on this bill. If you look at the serial number, you'll see it's 00000001, which means that it was the first bill ever printed for this specific series. And because it's 100 bills, it's the first 100 bills ever printed for this specific series. And they're all star notes. So how much do you think this strap of bills sold for? Was it A, $100, B, $200, C, $500, or D, $47,347? Well, if you picked D, you'd be correct. Now, for this last star note, I think it's pretty obvious what happened here. A 2-year-old got a hold of the markers, and while his mom was busy making spaghetti, the 2-year-old instantly sold this bill on eBay for $6,600. Okay, that's not really what happened. But for you to understand how it really did happen, you also have to understand how star notes are made. You see, during the printing process, the bills are in danger in a lot of ways. Too much ink, creasing, folding, wrong design, Dave's sandwich. If the bill's damaged in any way, it must be marked with red marker to be burned. Then they had to print an entirely new sheet of bills with the exact same serial number and the exact same everything, except the last letter in the serial number must be replaced with a star. That's why star notes are also called replacement notes, because they replace the bills that came before them. Time for the question of the day, which is, can you make a living from just selling star notes? Well, can you survive from just selling star notes? And the answer is technically yes, but I have yet to test it. However, something that I already tested is how much money can you make from investing in silver in just 100 days. You can watch that in this video right here. Thanks for watching.